So picture this. You attend a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. During this session, you have a live segment and you get to grapple with all of these people who are very chill. Everything just flows smoothly together and it's very low energy and there's just no stress about it. After that, you get paired with someone you haven't trained with before. This person is a wrestler and you find out it's their first class. During this particular grappling situation, the person goes 100 miles an hour and tries as hard as they can to thwart you from doing anything you attempt to do. I feel that when you get experience in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and in your grappling sessions, you are going to have this happen where a person's previous training in the grappling arts was with wrestling, and now they are trying to transition into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So for today's video, we are looking at, in part, why wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are so different in this way. So why does this tend to happen? One reason is the jarring difference in the pace of the two sports. One sport has like high-octane movements and explosive techniques scored very highly to get pins and takedowns. The other, being Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is trying to ideally win using as little strength as possible. This is what we want because our matches for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tend to take a lot longer and we need to conserve as much of our energy as we can. So a book I am currently reading is The 32 Principles, and it is by Henry Gracie. So I'm really enjoying this book, and I feel that there's an excellent quote in it that'll really shine a light for us on this topic. And that quote comes from its chapter 7, being its principle of velocity. And the quote goes, "Which speed is best, fast or slow? The speed that'll make your next move the hardest to predict." What this quote is about is that we need to be able to change our pace. If I'm going at someone incredibly hard the whole time, I'm doing lots of movements and I'm very much so trying to do explosive techniques, then I'd start to become predictable. This is to say nothing about the energy I would be expending. But even without that, the predictability can make all of my attacks that I try just fail right on the spot. The best way to approach someone is to approach them in manners they don't foresee. So maybe I'll start off really slow in a particular engagement, and then I will do a burst of speed to try to gain the upper hand. I feel that this style is very popular with Gordon Ryan, for instance, who is a world-renowned no-gi grappler and just the king of doing that, if you're not already aware. But he's very slow and methodical, but then when he does a given technique, he can punctuate that technique by adding speed. And because his opponents are kind of lulled into this slow tempo that he has for most of the match, whenever he adds this burst of speed, it can really punctuate a technique and drive it home so that he almost certainly gets where he wants to be. Now I feel that this is where speed comes into play. And for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this is how we should be thinking about using it. So even if it's it has to be kind of a slower sport than your wrestling, we can change our pace in a given moment to make our opponents not know where we're going. And this change of pace can help make a technique work that previously wouldn't have worked without any deceptive element to it. But these have been my thoughts on this topic. And also I would highly encourage you to check out Henry Gracie's book, as I've been having a wonderful time with it thus far. And one of my favorite things about it is that as I'm reading it and as I begin a chapter, it has a QR code that directs me to a video I can watch of the combat application of a given principle. I didn't know it had that going into this book, and I was kind of stressed about trying to figure out what's going on just from the visual descriptions. But now I no longer need to, because I can actually watch things play out, and I can also read the real life situations in which these principles apply. So again, highly recommend. And also please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. But thank you so much for watching, and take care.